What's up, everybody? I wanted to do a short series of videos for you all, as I get these questions asked a lot about the classes in Darkest Dungeon, what combat skills, what camping skills to take, and a brief overview on some trinkets for each individual class to give you an idea and some best practices on how to play them. So we're going to start with the Crusader. So as we look at the Crusader, he's pretty versatile. He's one of the stronger characters or heroes in the game currently. And just a quick rundown on what he is designed around. So the Crusader typically is going to be your tank, obviously, and I would say his damage is above average, but not absolutely amazing, like you can see come out from the Leper or sometimes the Hellion with their dots added with their bleeds. But as you look at the Crusader and how you want to play him, the combat skills you're looking for are Smite, which is extremely strong in the ruins, Zealous Accusation, which is a pretty good AoE spell. Stunning Blow is not necessarily the strongest combat skill you're going to take, as stun isn't as viable in late game, but in early game there can be some situations that you'll use it, but it really is very situational. And then Holy Lance, which is a must-have. So kind of to quickly run through this and how you'd utilize the Crusader with their combat skills. Typically, if you run a Crusader in the second position or even farther back, you're going to be able to use Holy Lance, which is really their best skill that they have in combat. You want to run them in the second slot and start them in the second slot, because they're going to be able to Holy Lance and they're going to go forward and jump forward in the location, putting them in the front. So you always want to start the Crusader in the second slot. The other reason is actually I've heard, and I can kind of see this working. I can't 100% confirm that it's true. If you run a Crusader in the first slot, because of their heavy armor, they cause more noise and your team's more likely to be surprised. So pro tip. Heard that in a dev video, and I'm pretty sure that's true based off of some of the experiences I've had in game, and I've just surpassed 250 hours, so I have quite a few dungeons up my sleeve. However, going back to combat skills, Holy Lance is the one that's absolutely critical, and you're usually going to start the fight being in the second slot. Being in the second slot allows you to pull Holy Lance right off the bat, and it will allow you to get rid of the third and fourth row, as you can see there, which is really where most of your stress or damage is going to come from. From there, what you'll utilize is Smite once you get into the first slot, or if you have somebody you feel that you can kill fairly quickly with the AoE, you're going to run Zealous Accusation. Do not cast Zealous Accusation unless you know that it's going to hit, it's going to kill somebody. Do not AoE down mobs. That's something that a lot of the newer players think is a much better way to go about damage dealing. It's not, unless you know you're going to kill at least one of the mob, and it will allow you to do some damage to another mob. Kill mobs primarily. You're going to prioritize with who's causing you the most stress and then who's going to cause you the most damage, because it's harder to heal stress than it is damage in almost every dungeon. And then obviously you're going to run Smite. So the Crusader's a very strong character on any of the boss fights that involve undead. So for the Necro currently, that's the one you're going to be concerned with the most. He's really strong on the Necro fight, especially if you have skeletons in front of you and he's in the second slot. It allows him to Holy Lance the boss. Pro tip, do that. That's what he's designed to do in that fight. That's what you should be using him for. That's kind of a quick rundown on what you should take. These other skills, I have 250 hours in the game. I don't even use them. They might come into play later, but currently, as of this is like April 2015, these aren't very viable currently. Maybe they'll be adjusted, but if you were to run 3 Crusaders, you want to make sure that you have Inspiring Cry, because it allows them to do something from the third spot. If they can't Holy Lance, if there isn't a mob there, it will allow you to at least do something, which would, stress heal. But again, it's very, very weak, extremely situational. You're not often going to run 3 or 4 Crusaders, although it is viable. So moving away from that, let's go to the camping skills. These two are interchangeable based off the party you're bringing. Encourage is pretty versatile. You can use that for stress heal and obviously wound care. But as far as the primary 3 you want to bring, Zealous Vigil right here. You're going to bring Zealous Speech, and you're going to bring usually Unshakable Leader or Stand Tall, depending on the quirks that your character has. Unshakable Leader is a little bit stronger for the party, but again, it's going to depend on the party class you're bringing. Very rarely do I ever use either of the two, because I often do dark runs, and with dark runs you're not going to run into the stress issue as much. You're typically healing damage and not stress. So this is one that's almost an auto cast when you have Crusaders in a camp, because it gives you the accuracy buff and it gives you the stress reduction. And if you have that problem all across your party, you could run Zealous Speech, but this is a little expensive with 5 time cost to only reduce 10 stress. That's a little more expensive. So that's really the rundown on the necessary camping skills. As you look at the trinkets that I'd recommend, this one is pretty common, pretty versatile, which is the Knight's Crest and then the Tough Ring. And then if you go and you were to change that, if you're running a Crusader in the second slot and you're doing what's called a Leapfrog Party, so you have 2 Crusaders, you want to run the one in the second slot with more speed. That way he goes first and can jump over with Holy Lance. He can jump over the other person, leapfrogging him, essentially. And then the second person would go and also Holy Lance, hopefully allowing you to eliminate the 3rd and 4th slot. That's what I would recommend running. If you're going to run 2 Crusaders, that works pretty well currently. So that is a brief rundown on the Crusader. I wanted to keep it kind of short, so hopefully you've been able to get something out of this. If you guys want to offer any comments below that you think would help newer players, please do. That's all I got. See ya.